the continent has now defined
In the news, PDP calls Electoral Act murder of democracy, rejects bill. South Africa protest was planned, could take years to repair damaged infrastructures, says Cyril Ramaphosa. 700,000 prison inmates temporarily released over COVID-19 surge emergency, says UN report. No company apart from Dangote, BUA and Gordon can import sugar coming from the CBN. Details coming up shortly. This is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Merciful Ajinomo, and you're watching TOS News 360. Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, has rejected the amended Electoral Act recently passed by the National Assembly, calling it the murder of democracy. The party also called on President Muhammadu Buhari to consider the move by the National Assembly as a big scam. Uche Secondus, PDP's national chairman, stated these in Abuja on Friday at a media briefing organized by the party in reaction to the amended Electoral Act. He says that the PDP would take every legal step to seek redress, calling on all lovers of democracy to stand up against this fraud. The federal government of Nigeria has reportedly added the name of Yoruba Nation activist Sunday Adeyemo, also known as Sunday Igboho, to its top list, accusing the activist of plans to acquire a new passport to flee the country. TOS News understands that with Igboho's name on the stop list, the activist will be denied all constitutional rights and privileges a citizen is entitled to. The whereabouts of Igboho, a lead figure in the separatist agitation for the Yoruba Nation, has been unknown since he narrowly escaped arrest during the July 1st midnight raid by the secret police ahead of a major rally in support of the call for Yoruba Nation in Lagos. Federal government explains that Igboho's name is added to the stop list in order to facilitate his arrest and directed the security agencies to apprehend him anywhere he is found. 1 year after Nigeria lost her first female combat helicopter pilot, Tolulope Arotile, a sister to the late officer Damilola Adegboye Arotile, while fielding questions from journalists, has called for justice for her sister's painful exit. TOS News recalls how the then NAF spokesman Ibikunle Daramola noted in a statement that Arotile, aged 24, was killed when she was inadvertently hit by the reversing vehicle of an excited former Air Force secondary school classmate, Nehemiah Adejo, while trying to greet her. Adegboye Arotile says the police didn't carry the family along with the prosecution, which NAF transferred Nigeria Police Force, saying it was a civil case charged with the responsibility of investigating and charging the suspect to court in accordance with extant laws. And now to development across Africa. Despite calls for democratic reforms as police crack down on protests in Eswatini, King Maswati III has appointed a new prime minister. Former pension fund boss Cleopas Dlamini would replace Prime Minister Ambrose Dlamini, who died in December after contracting COVID-19, announced the king in his first public address since violent demonstrations broke out in the kingdom last month. Maswati III, who was crowned in 1986 at the age of 18, has 15 wives and more than 25 children, is criticized for his lavish lifestyle in Africa's only remaining absolute monarchy, where 2/3 of the population lives below the poverty line. Though stabilized and calmed, the deadly violence and looting that rocked South Africa for the past week were planned, alleged President Cyril Ramaphosa on Friday during his first visit to areas affected by the worst unrest in the country's post-apartheid era. The rioting that broke out in several parts of the country last week following his predecessor Jacob Zuma began a 15-month imprisonment for failing to appear at a corruption inquiry. Ramaphosa did admit, however, that his government could have acted quicker to prevent the unrest and protect all key installations and commercial sites vital to the functioning of the economy. Ramaphosa ruled out the need to impose emergency in the country and urged people to not resort to panic buying because there was no shortage of food and supplies. This is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television, and you're watching TOS News 360. More stories across Africa, plus global, business, entertainment, and sports when we return. Do stay. Welcome back. 4,500 chickens have been destroyed and the movement of poultry restricted in Ghana after nearly 6,000 birds were found to have died of the highly pathogenic H5N1 avian flu. The country's veterinary services director said on Saturday the cases mark Ghana's fourth outbreak of avian flu since 2015. Strains of the influenza virus that primarily infect birds can also infect humans by contact with sick birds. It can be passed from person to person with symptoms of cough, fever, sore throat, muscle aches, headache, and shortage of breath that begin within 2 to 8 days. Veterinary Director Patrick Abeke says the birds originated from 7 farms in Ghana's Greater Accra, Central and Volta regions, and poultry movement from those regions have been banned. On a global scene, Russian investigators on Saturday says engine failure had caused a Russian Antonov and 28-passenger plane that went missing on a flight from the town of Kedrovy to the city of Tomsk make a forced landing in Siberia a day earlier. Less than 2 weeks, an Antonov and 26 crashed into a cliff in poor visibility on the remote Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia's far east, killing all 28 people on board. The aircraft, which flipped upside down, caused no serious injuries among the 18 people on board after rescuers who were dispatched found the survivors in a wooded area near the damaged aircraft on Friday. As part of their ongoing probe, investigators have taken fuel samples and flight documents from the plane and seized its emergency locator beacon. In light of COVID-19 infection spread, about 700,000 prison inmates have been released temporarily in some selected countries. A United Nations study titled Prison Population Surge Triggers Overcrowding COVID Casualties, published on Friday, says since March, roughly 6% of the estimated global prison population have been authorized or considered eligible for at least temporary release through COVID emergency mechanisms adopted by 119 member states. The report adds that with prevention measures often difficult to implement in detention centers, especially overcrowded ones, some countries opted to temporarily release large numbers of people in custody, particularly those convicted. In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria says only the BUA Sugar Refinery Limited, Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC, and Golden Sugar Company are permitted to import sugar in the country as it restricts importation of sugar in Nigeria. This was disclosed in a circular issued on Friday by the bank's Director, Trade and Exchange Department, Dr. Ozemena Naji. The Apex Bank says the company's permission is based on the notable contribution to the backward integration program introduced by the federal government. Nigeria currently spends between $600 million to $1 billion on sugar importation annually. And in sports, FIFA, the international governing body of association football, has slammed 3 Italian clubs with a 2-year transfer ban for illegally transferring Nigerian minors. The 3 clubs punished are Italian Serie A club Spezia Calcio and lower league side USD Lavganese 1919 and Valdivera 5 Terre. Spezia, which can appeal the punishment, was also hit with a fine of €394,000. And that is TOS News 360 on your digital first Pan-African news network. For more updates, visit www.tostvnetwork.com. Do follow and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Stay with us and enjoy more programs on the network. I am Merciful Ajinamo. Many thanks for watching.